I think I just discovered the most oppressive combo for Toph, the first Metalbender. And no, I'm not talking about Mycosynth Lattice and Karn the Great Creator, although that combo is very oppressive. Toph brokenly makes your non-token artifacts into lands, and on your end step she earthbends too, meaning when those artifacts get removed, they come back to the battlefield tapped to be reused again on a later turn. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the synergies this has with the card Mindslaver. If you can earthbend this artifact on your end step, on every single turn you can take control of another player's next turn, essentially locking one player out of the game. But I found another card that does this even more brutally. Aeon Engine is an artifact for 5 mana. It enters the battlefield tapped, but you can tap it and exile it to reverse the game's turn order. This effectively does a similar thing to the Mindslaver example, locking one player out of the game, but it also gives you twice as many of your own turns. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're in seat 2 and you have both Toph and Aeon Engine on board. You go to pass the turn to player 3. And on your end step, you earthbend your Aeon Engine. But since it was earthbended, even if it exiles itself, it returns to the battlefield tap. Now, at some point during player 3's turn, you tap and exile Aeon Engine to reverse the turn order. So now, when they pass their turn, they pass it back to you, effectively skipping player 4's turn. Then you do your turn as normal. And now you pass the turn to player 1. And on your end step, you earthbend your Aeon Engine. And now, at a certain point in player 1's turn, you tap and exile your Aeon Engine, reversing the turn order back to normal. Now when player 1 ends their turn, they'll be passing it to you. You can probably see where I'm going with this. Player 4 never gets another turn, and you get twice as many turns as player 3 or player 1. But where this interaction gets even more oppressive is if you have both Mindslaver and Aeon Engine on the battlefield at the same time. But to get this combo to work, you also need to be able to earthbend both artifacts. You can accomplish this with something that will double your triggers, like a roaming throne, naming human, for example. So now when you go to your end step, you can earthbend both the Mindslaver and the Aeon Engine. Let me show you what I mean. Once you have these 4 cards out, Toph makes all of your non-token artifacts into lands in addition to their types. You go to your end step, and since you have your roaming throne, Toph will trigger twice. You can earthbend both of these artifacts. You can pay the 4, tap, and sacrifice the Mindslaver. It'll die and it'll come back tapped. And you can gain control of player 3's turn. Then you can pass the turn to player 3 and you'll be controlling them during their turn. And at some point during their turn, you can tap and exile the Aeon Engine, which will come back. Now that the turn order is going in the other direction, that player will pass back to you. You'll untap, go to your end step, earthbend both of these, tap this, sacrifice this. This time we'll take control over player 1's turn. And then it'll pass to them. And then during their turn, we'll tap this, exile it, it'll come back, and we'll reverse the turn order again. And then they'll pass it back to us. And you can literally do this as many times as you like. Player 4 will never ever get a turn ever again. And you'll control both players during their turns. I know this is kind of a janky 4-card combo that can only be done in magical Christmas land, but it is that time of year. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this crazy interaction. Also, let me know if you can think of any crazier interactions using Toph the first Metalbender. But until then,